Hi, my name is Debra Weissman, and I'm the Group Program Manager for the Windows Shell team, also known as the User Experience team, and I'm here to show you some of the updates that we're making to the UI for Whistler. First, I wanted to step back a little and sort of lay out what the user experience vision is for Whistler. Basically, consumer focus is our top priority. We're doing a lot of exciting new features to help generate excitement for Whistler in the home, but also we are allocating time and resources to take a look at the top JDP issues. So want to make sure if you have issues that you want to bring up either in this session or later on so that I can address them in email, please make sure to do that. And we're doing things like taking care of the top performance scenarios and making sure that we have policies for all the features that we're doing so that administrators can set the defaults appropriately as they want. The main Whistler feature areas that we're focusing on, this is the first half right here, friendly logon UI. We want to make users sharing one computer in the home very easy, so we have a friendly logon UI that's full screen for users to switch between people using the machine, and also we're making it so it's very quick and easy to switch users. Visual redesign, we're doing a visual refresh of the entire system, so it's going to look and feel like a new Windows. Simple networking UI, we're taking certain configuration issues in networking, like setting up an internet connection, work from home scenarios, setting up a home network and making improvements to that. And also we're making hardware UI simplified and file associations more robust. Next set of things that we're focusing on, improved control panel UI. This time around we're not necessarily changing any of the individual control panels, but we are making it easier for users to find the control panels that they need. We're also making some enhancements to the taskbar to clean up some of the clutter that's left there from notifications, as well as helping people manage all of the items that end up on their taskbar when they're using multiple windows. We're also doing some simplifications to publishing of files to the web, also CD burning files to a CD. We're making some improvements to the way that users manage and organize their files. And lastly, like I said before, we're making some performance improvements, tackling the top 10 performance issues in the system. So logon and profiles, what are we doing there? Well, we've got a new user-friendly logon dialog that's full screen that will come up when the user boots the system, and I'll show you that in a second. We're supporting multiple desktops, which basically means that more than one user can be logged onto the machine at the same time, which enables the switching to become much faster than it was before. We're simplifying one control panel in the system, the user accounts control panel, to make it easier for people to set up multiple users in the home. And we have a new unified password prompt for web as well as other net services, so that you have one prompt that you get for everything. So this is an example. This is an early version of our welcome screen. So as you can see, it's full screen. It's got fun pictures that you can use, and you'll be able to set up, users in the home will be able to set up different pictures to use to represent themselves. And right now, one of the things we're working on is, when does this UI come up? One of the things that we're doing right now is, if you're joined to a domain, you don't necessarily get this type of UI, because we want to make sure that people on a corporate network are getting the type of UI that they're used to. But we're open to suggestions about when people want to use this. This is just an example of some of the simplification that we're doing to the users and accounts control panel, and I'll get more into that later on. So just giving you the list of accounts and taking you through in a task-oriented way how to set up multiple users in the home, setting up a picture, etc. This is just an example of the unified password prompt, and we're working on ways to support multiple types of authentication, such as smart cards, etc. And this is going to come up, and whether it's a passport or another net password, it's all going to be linked to that one logon that you use for the computer. And this is just showing ways that we're simplifying the dialogue by putting up balloons instead of putting up an error message so that you have this in-context help as you go through the dialogue. Visual redesign, like I said before, one of the main reasons that we're doing this is to generate consumer excitement in the home, that this is a new Windows, this is a more refreshing, fun look for users. But we're also going to be doing a business look as well, which is a little bit more, a little bit tamer, a little bit more refined, but also will be refreshing the system. And one thing I wanted to emphasize is that in this visual redesign, we're not doing things like moving buttons around or changing the layouts of dialogues. What we're just doing is refreshing the look and feel, but the buttons will all be in the same places. Everything that the user is used to doing and the places that the user is used to looking for things will all still be in the same area. We're also doing some specific things to improve the user experience. We're experimenting with maximizing Windows by default on 800 by 600 screens so that people don't have to deal with a lot of window management. We're also doing things like providing a drop shadow on the window that's in focus so that users, it's more apparent to users what window has focus, and a bunch of other things like that. And looking towards the future, we're going to be working on supporting high-density display monitors. This is an example, this picture is an example of what we're going towards in terms of the business skin. I don't have any pictures of the new consumer visuals right now because we want to keep that under wraps for now, but this is an example of what you might see in business. And when I say consumer skin versus business look, what it just means is that there's going to be two defaults that you can set. Either you can decide to set it for business customers or you can decide to set it for consumer customers. More examples of what this looks like. This is an example of what a menu might look like in this new business skin. And as you can see, we're not rearranging anything, we're not doing anything, moving things around, we're just refreshing the look of the system. On the networking UI, we're working on a couple of different things. We're trying to simplify configuration by helping people to get to the right areas of the control panel, and I'll be showing you the new control panel UI later on. We're improving upon Millennium's home networking wizard and doing some small stuff there to make setting up a home network easier for users. And we're improving file sharing UI, and we're also improving the Create New Connection wizard to make the choices more easily discernible for people. So here's an example of what we're doing for network and internet options. So as you can see, up on the top, you've got task orientation that will help you get to the right place, to the right set of configuration options. But if the user wants to, they can also see the familiar icons that they've always seen for networking. And we're able to use the web view to add things like other places and also some troubleshooters, so that if the user is having difficulty finding something, they can go and look at the troubleshooter without having to drill down into the control panel and not know how to get back. This is just a placeholder graphic for what we're doing for the home networking wizard. If you've seen any of the ones in Millennium, we're going to be improving upon that for Whistler. Create New Connection. This is what it looks like right now. You have a bunch of different options. It's very difficult to tell what is dial up to a private network mean versus virtual private network. We're going to try to make those simplified for users so that they're only looking at 3 options, and it's obvious, based on location and the type of tasks that they want to do, what type of connection they should set up. This is just a drill down into the work from home scenario, which is going to include private network as well as VPN. This is an example of what we're trying to do for sharing. Just make it very simple. Either I share or I don't want to share. And we're still working on this to make it as easy as possible for users. Hardware UI, there's a bunch of different things that we're doing. Autoplay for hardware basically means that when the user plugs in a device, we want to make sure that we do the right thing, pop up the right app, pop up the right window, etc. My computer and system properties cleanup, we're helping users reorganize. We're reorganizing the My Computer space so that users can find things more easily and have a better understanding of what things show up there, and also cleaning up the system properties dialog so that people can view those properties more easily. Extended key support basically means keys that people have on keyboards like mail and other things that aren't in the standard key set. We are going to support those and also support configuration of those. So if a user or an administrator wanted to configure what came up for mail, they could do that. Found new hardware notification, update device driver wizard, add new hardware wizard. These are just streamlining the UI that comes up when you plug in a device and helping provide better direction for users as to what they need to do. Low disk space notification, same thing, we're just doing some UI to let the user know when they're approaching low disk space, and we're making improvements to the USB and UPnP UI. So autoplay for hardware, we want to do smart things. We have an architecture so that when a hardware device or media like a CD is inserted, we do the right thing. An example right now is if you have a CD through a CD full of MP3s or music files, other types of music files, we want to launch the right application. So media player or rail networks or whatever. And users can also set the defaults for what comes up, as well as administrators can set the defaults for what comes up when you put in the CD or plug in a certain piece of hardware. Extended key support, as I said before, you'll see there are things like mail, my computer, etc. here. We're going to allow users to customize what comes up when you click on those keys. This is an example of what we're doing for my computer. We've grouped these files in a more understandable manner and separating files that are on the network from files and devices, or from file storage and devices that are attached to this computer. And also we're using the other part of the web view to make sure that we have all the related options in there. This is an example of how we're simplifying the system properties control panel. Okay, file associations. Basically, the first thing that's most important to us is that we're going to have a set of guidelines for ISVs and make sure that we're really pushing the ISVs to not clutter up the computer and not steal file associations. Automatic rollback of file types means that when someone uninstalls an application that used to have the association, we do the right thing there, and we're going to support basic types like zip and cab, etc. The control panel UI, like I said before, for Whistler, we're not undertaking changing the UI of every single control panel. What we're doing is modifying the web view so that we can help take people through the tasks that they think of when they want to get to control panels and help them find those control panels much more easily. So in doing that, we centralize and promote the common tasks. And we will have a new style for control panels that we hope to really develop in future operating systems, but it will be exemplified for now in the users and accounts control panel. So here's the control panel UI that we have right now when the user opens control panel. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different categories that the control panels will fall into. And people who create new control panels will be able to register for these different categories. And of course, we also have other control panel options. So if you see right here, the user will be able to very easily switch back to the way the control panel looked before. And administrators can also decide whether they want this look on by default or the old classic control panel on by default. So if I click on it again, I can switch back to the new control panel view. So if I go into user accounts, that's the one control panel that we're doing in the new style to go along with the friendly logon stuff that we're doing. So as you saw before, this basically takes you through the tasks of setting up an account in a very in a task-oriented way versus having a set of tabs and a bunch of checkboxes to click on. Now, if I go to appearance and themes, for example, this is just going to basically take me to the right place in the existing control panels. So as you can see, we've got the tasks up top here if I want to change my wallpaper, etc. And also down here, we have the icons that you normally see, except that they're categorized in this category. And on the left-hand side, if there are other things that might be orthogonal to the display control panel, but users may associate it with display, we have them over here so that users can go and see that. So if I go and then change the size of my screen area, it's going to open it up to the right tab in the Display and Themes control panel. And then if I go back to the first level, I can go back to the control panel view. Network and Internet options, I showed you before, is also task-oriented. All of these different categories will bring you to the right control panel. And in Other are basically all the control panels that don't have a category right now. Taskbar enhancements, we're doing a lot of really exciting stuff here. In the notification space, we're doing what we call IntelliTray, which basically means that if the user hasn't really touched any of the icons on the tray or they haven't updated at all, we're going to collapse that into one icon that the user can then go and expand into their notifications so they don't get bothered with a bunch of junk on the tray. In terms of the overall taskbar area, we're helping people manage multiple windows so that if they have a bunch of different windows and everything falls off the taskbar, we'll collapse that into one area as well. And I'll show you what that looks like in a couple of minutes. We're going to be locking the taskbar down by default. In a lot of cases in WinGK and other operating systems, people would by mistake grab the taskbar and move it somewhere by mistake, and we're going to lock that down by default for users and also not display the gripper on the side. This is an example of a typical OEM machine where you have about 14 icons on the tray, and it's very hard to distinguish what they are, whether you're actually going to use them. So then, after a while, if you've only used one of them, that icon will stay on the tray, and the rest of them will be collapsed into this one icon here, and you get a notification as to where the icons have gone. Another example is if Outlook receives mail and gives you a notification, that counts as being updated, so that will show on the tray unless you haven't touched it in a really long time. So if you go and you click on the notification icon, you get a little mini tray that shows up and allows you to get to all your icons. And also the options allow you to pin certain items in the tray forever. So for users and administrators, this is going to be really helpful to know, okay, these are the icons that I always want in my tray, and these are the ones that if I don't use, I want them to go away. This is just an example of some of the redesign that we're doing for the taskbar, just to make it look more elegant and polished. This is taskbar, what we call taskbar glomming, which basically means this user had a lot of windows open on their taskbar, including a lot of Outlook messages. And so once the taskbar got too full, all the Outlook messages got collapsed into this one Outlook area, and they were able to click on it and get a menu of everything that they're working on in Outlook. The same thing for the browser and for Microsoft Word, etc. For publish to the web, we're basically exposing the publish command in a more discoverable place, and we're also improving the publish wizard. But we're basically using the current web folders technology that we have today in terms of the places that we can publish and the protocols that we can support. Burn to CD, we're working on making the CD burning experience more like a floppy, so you can just drag it to the device and click burn, and then everything will work. And send as mail attachment, the work that we're doing there is trying to help people send things like pictures and large files and actually do the compression and the resampling for them so that they don't have to worry about it. This is an example of where you're going to find the publishing wizard. We'll show you web view later on, but this is actually the left-hand pane of the file view, and the user will click on publish image to the web. And then they'll come up with a wizard, and they'll be able to pick where they want to publish. And the sites that write plugins for us will be able to plug in their own templates that will get generated on the server. So this is something that commercial sites will do, and possibly corporate sites as well, if they have a certain template that they want users to use to publish to their intranet. And this is just confirmation that it's completed. For CDRW, this is basically showing that I can go and drag my files to a device, and this shows a view of the CD after I've dragged the files on there. And you'll notice that this is grouped by the files that are currently burned onto the CD and the files that you still need to add to the CD. And the users will then go and say, I want to burn the files to the CD. So it's really just as easy as manipulating files and pressing a button, and it's done. For file management, we've got lots of great improvements there. We're working on the way that files are viewed in the system, list view. We've got a new multi-line tile view, which is going to enable people to view more properties at the same time in one file without having to preview. And also the icons are bigger so that it's easier for users to visually scan and organize their files. In the web view, as you saw in a couple of the other examples, we're exposing the most common tasks, some of the things that are now in the toolbar, and making those more discoverable for users. We don't have, these aren't opening up new wizards or anything in terms of move or copy or anything. They're basically just exposing those tasks where users couldn't really drill down and find them before. For digital media, we're doing enhanced web view templates for the My Pictures folder, and we're also doing a new My Music folder. And these templates will contain layouts that are specific to the type of file that you're manipulating, as well as exposing properties that are specific to the type of file that you're manipulating. This is an example of what we're working on for WebView. This is sort of an early prototype of what we're doing, but you can get the idea. You see the file view right here is showing you, the title and the modified date, and it's very easy to scan through this list of files and find out what you want. You'll see that we still have preview over here and details view, and the user can expand and collapse as necessary which one they want, and we'll be setting the appropriate defaults for each folder. And here you see all the file tasks that the user can accomplish. This is an example of our grouping feature that we have right now. If the user wants to enable grouping, this is a group by type. It will show this kind of UI to divide up these pictures. And so you can see it's very easy to figure out what you're looking for here when it's in this kind of a group view. Another example is if I wanted to go and have a bunch of pictures and group them by date, they're going to be much easier to scan, much easier to manipulate in the file system. This is an example of what we're working on for the My Pictures folder, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to have on by default, but this basically allows you to cycle through your pictures and see the preview up top if you're interested in quickly scanning through and finding the right one. This is an example of what we're working on for My Music, and so we're trying to get to the point where we can actually update the cover art from windowsmedia.com, but if we don't get that far, then we're going to allow users to customize the thumbnails and provide their own cover art here. And as you can see, we're exposing the album name property instead of date modified, etc., because that's what we think is most important about music files. Although users will be able to set whatever property they want to have by default, and they'll be able to group by whatever property they want. We're just supporting more that are specific for that file type. Just to quickly go over some of the performance and architecture improvements we're doing, we're working on things like slow networks. We're making some general improvements to Win2K, and we're addressing the top 10 perf issues. And this is an area where we'd really love to get your input. What are some of the things that you think are just way too slow about Win2K right now? What are some things that you think we could improve in the shell? To tell you the list of our top 10 so far, we've got things like shell boot time, shutdown, launching IE, Internet Explorer, launching Windows Explorer, dial-up networking, loading the control panel. Network file manipulation especially is an issue that we're working on right now. And then overall we're trying to decrease the shell working set. And some other improvements we're doing in terms of architecture, we're doing some copy engine enhancements which will provide better confirmation UI when you're copying files, better pre-flooding, so if the disk or the other something else that you're copying to doesn't have enough space, you know that ahead of time and you know what to do before you go and try to copy all those files. So I think that's basically it, and I think I can take some questions now. So let's see. I've got so I've got a question here. Will you be able to choose the skin type, business or consumer, by user or only by machine? Basically, we don't really see these as themes necessarily, or things that are user customizable. It's basically an update of the look and feel of the machine, and we're going to allow by machine to be able to pick either consumer or business, but we're not sure yet whether we're going to be able to switch between both at this point. Okay, another question I have. In your burn to CD feature, will the user be able to create a bootable CDRW disk? That I'm actually not sure of. I'll have to get back to you. On that. Let's see. Most of the items that end up in the system tray load during startup and as such cause a long delay before the user can actually begin working on the machine. Are there any improvements in consideration to allow some or all of those items to load in a delayed manner so that the UI is available for real usage sooner? Yes, this is actually an issue that we're working on right now. I don't have the exact solution for you, but it's definitely something that's on our list of issues to deal with. Okay. Do you plan to support multiple workspaces like common desktop environment and many other X11 window managers? Not sure I understand the question, but we're not going to basically have one user switching between multiple workspaces. There'll be the workspace for one user. If they switch to user 1, if they switch to user 2, then it'll be a totally different thing. They won't be able to have two desktops running at the same time that they're looking at. For admins, it would make life much easier if the standard detail view also included the name/ID of the file owner. Okay. I don't know if that's on our list right now, but that's definitely something we can consider. Let's see. Seems like all the questions I have. Is that it? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, oh, there are? Maybe I'm not seeing them. 13? Oh, I talked about 13 already. Do you plan to support multiple workspaces? 15. Oh, okay, here we go. Have you considered providing some kind of most recently used capability for dial-up connectoids similar to recently used documents? Yes, we actually are thinking about that when the user has more than one connectoid, and we'd definitely be open to suggestions about what the heuristics should be or how we should display that in the UI, but that's definitely something that we've been thinking about. So, okay. Well, please definitely send in some more questions if you have them. Otherwise, I think we might need to wrap it up. Do you guys see any more questions coming in? Well, thank you very much for attending, and if there are any other questions that come in after the presentation, I can definitely deal with them in email later on. So thanks a lot.